Shalom, everybody, and welcome to the Yishai Fleisher Show, broadcasting live from Judea to the world. You're a part of it wherever you are. Thank you, Hashem, for giving us a chance to join up with everybody around the world to talk about this incredible Torah portion of Shmot, which is the transition Torah portion from the book of Genesis to the book of Exodus, movement of people. Shalom to all of you out there, and welcome to the Land of Israel Network, and shalom to Malkah Fleisher.
I've been promoted.
That's right, you're promoted to the first
Rabbi
half.
Malk instead of Rabbi Mike.
Oy, Rabbi Malk.
I'm not really a rabbi.
That
was a joke.
You're my rabbi.
Yes.
You're my rabbi in life.
And don't you forget it.
I don't. I remember every single day. Ezra Kenegdo.
And I won't let you forget.
Kenegdo.
Don't worry.
Okay. Kenegdo dots. Okay. Malkah, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yes.
Rabbi Mike Feuer is still out, but he'll be back. Bezrat Shamayim will be back next week. And I was supposed to record with another friend today, and he took me over to his show, which is Yehuda Cohen. Hopefully, I'll get what I recorded with him for next week. It was a long discussion.
Was it good?
It was good. It was even a little heated at some points.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Spicy.
We came.
What did you guys talk about?
Zionism, meaning of, and Hebron, and he wanted to get in the fight with me about the Pompeo wine bottle and all that. Anyway, it was lots of fun, but that's for next week. This week we have an awesome thing to discuss, Malkah, which is in many ways one of the most dramatic and exciting Torah portions in the whole 5 books of Moses.
Wow.
Okay, because we're going to get intros, and we all know the setup to the movies is so exciting.
That's my favorite part.
Right, we're going to meet like how Skywalker became Skywalker, and how Batman became Batman, and really how
that girl was just like a nice, slightly overweight Greek girl working at her parents' Greek restaurant, but then she meets the guy with the long hair, and she decides to go to college.
Yes, all that happens in this Torah portion, but much more powerfully, because we're going to be dealing with the story of the revealing of Moses as the man who's going to lead to the revelation at Sinai, and the Exodus, then the revelation at Sinai, and to the edge of the land of Israel. We're meeting the hero of heroes here, and so it's an interesting,
mild-mannered at the beginning.
Yes, a mild-mannered prince. We're gonna get to it, but I just want to kind of get people into that mode that we're like dealing with. There was the foundational book. That's Bereshit. That's Genesis.
I miss Bereshit already.
Yeah, but now we're really entering into the Torah. Okay? The Torah.
Yeah, this is the nitty-gritty.
Right. This is the Moses, like the 5 books of Moses.
Yeah.
So this is the
book 1.
If you think
which
about
is really
it,
book 2.
Right, exactly. Because the preamble part has been done. That's what it's really like all about. That's the footsteps that you got to walk on. But you need the man, the catalyst, that prophet of prophets, that seer of seers, okay, that incredible
prognosticator of prognosticators.
That's right. Who's going to really redeem the Jews, and he's an awesome light, and we're going to a little bit get a glimpse, and the Torah gives us these glimpses of who this Moshe Rabbeinu is. And I'm a little bit excited to get reacquainted with Moshe Rabbeinu.
Nice.
So let's get reacquainted.
And then we have a whole year to settle down, settle in there.
Right. But if you want, but the Torah portion here,
it really is. That's like the whole thing.
The whole thing.
It's like there's a little bit of stuff about these other people.
Right.
And you feel like you don't spend that much time with them. I wish we could have spent a little more time with them. And then the whole rest of the time we're hanging out with Moshe all the way through until Simchat Torah.
Right. And also the whole rest of the time, there's like the whole rest of the time we're outside of the land of Israel. The whole rest of the time there's always a will to get back to the land of Israel.
And we don't make it, basically, until the end. They don't go in.
Right.
Right? And like the setup is basically for the book of Joshua, where he's gonna go into the land of Israel. But in the end of the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, as you call it, we don't get back.
What do you want me to call it? Pentateuch? I can't even, what is that word,
5.
Five books.
Two
okay. Yeah, that's right. To each his own. Anyway, let's get to it. First, there's a...
Let's get to it.
Let's get to it. First is a relisting again of the sons of Jacob who came down to Egypt, and the 70 kind of original souls of the Jews that are in Egypt. And then there's a line that says it's very quippy. It just says Vayamat Yosef v'chol achav v'chol adorahu. Yosef passed away, his brothers, that whole generation. Scene change, right?
Right.
And then it says Uvnei Israel, the children of Israel, paru v'yishretzu v'yirbu v'yatzmu b'meod meod v'temaleh haaretz otam. So they increased very much. They were fruitful. They teemed. Here's an interesting thing.
They're like bugs.
Buggy. And some explanations are like, well, they weren't in such good shape. They became a little bug-like. They became a little like, that's one of the explanations. Another one is that they just like were like all over the land. But another one is like there was something about them which was kind of lowly a little bit. They were in a lowly state. They increased and became strong, very, very much so. And the land became filled with them. Now here I have to stop and get a little exegetical, a little commentary here, and that is that the words "v'temaleh haaretz otam" and the land was filled with them. The Baal HaTurim stops here, and I think it's one of the most important Baal HaTurims that I know, because he says the land was filled with them. That's because there's a medrash that says when Jewish women would give birth, they would actually give birth to 6 at once.
A litter.
That's right. There would be a litter. Okay, that's cool. And
kind of cool.
And since there was a type of what's it called, a decree against the Jewish children, especially the Jewish boys, then what would happen is that they would, here's the medrash, they would plant them in the ground, and the earth itself, like Cabbage Patch Kids, would grow them, okay, until they were ready to pop out of the land. So it says v'temaleh haaretz otam, the land itself was filled with them, i.e. the land was itself physically filled with them until it gave birth to them, or as mature adults, or as mature children. And this was in Eretz Goshen, which is either in northeast Egypt or in western Sinai. So that's one. V'temaleh haaretz, the land was filled with them. But the Baal HaTurim says there's also another v'temaleh haaretz, and it says in Parshat Noach, v'temaleh haaretz Hamas. The land was filled with Hamas. And he gives an explanation. He says the land itself was so filled with Hamas, and Hamas means violence and theft. He says the way it would work is that basically a person would say to his friend, "Hey, can you hold some of my possessions for me?" And he would give him his wallet, and he would also give him some persimmon oil, very smelly persimmon oil. And the next door neighbor would be like, "Sure, no problem, I'll hold your stuff for you." And he would put it down in his caves in the basement below his house. Then the first person was actually a thief, would follow the smell of the persimmon oil until he found his wallet and all his neighbor's stuff as well, and would steal it. So he's saying the land itself would be filled with Hamas, like underneath it would be tunneled with theft.
Right.
Why do I say this?
I don't know.
Because we learn from this that when it comes to the land of Israel, there's 2 options. Either the land is going to be filled with them, or the land is going to be filled with Hamas. Okay?
The land is going to be filled with us, basically.
Right. Okay, it's going to be filled with children growing out of the land itself.
Right.
Or it's going to be filled with Hamas. Look at Gaza, right? Gush Katif, where the land itself was you were there, you could feel the fertility of the land, and it was growing the people, and the land itself was giving this incredible produce. V'temaleh haaretz otam. They filled up the land, right, in Gaza. But take out the Jews, and instead of v'temaleh haaretz otam,
Hamas, and they literally call themselves Hamas.
And what do they do with the earth?
They put horrible terror tunnels in it.
Right. So, okay, you didn't fill the place. V'temaleh haaretz Hamas. The Hamas fills land, and it fills it underneath the land itself as well. So there's a little message in there.
Message for the future, for us.
Message for the future. Very good. Okay, a new king ariseth, and he did not know Joseph, nor did he care about him. And he was concerned that the Jewish people were becoming too big. And he says, let's deal smartly, craftily with these people, unless they'll join up and they'll join up with our haters, and maybe they'll join up with the haters with the haters against us. And I heard an explanation that the next part of the pasuk says "Va'ala min haaretz," and instead let's push them out of the land and kick them out. But the Jews did not listen to that. They kind of accepted these new decrees in a bad way. Like they accepted the new decrees and didn't leave the land. And so therefore, what Pharaoh comes up with is he says, let's put taskmasters over them in order to afflict them with burdens, build storage cities for Pharaoh, Pitom and Ramses. What's ironic is that Joseph was the original creator of these storage cities.
Right.
Now they're being forced into the slavery to create storage cities. However, that's what I was saying. Instead of leaving,
so wait, they didn't have enough storage cities?
No, they had enough probably, but they wanted them to become enslaved, so they made them, build these.
Make something.
Right. Like they did in the Holocaust. But instead of leaving, it says, as much, very famous pasuk, Kasher ya'anu oto ken yirbe v'chen yifrotz v'yakutzu mipnei bnei Yisrael. The more they afflicted them, the more they would increase, and they spread out. And the Egyptians became disgusted with the children of Israel.
Oh.
There's something about the children of Israel. And I want to say that there's a little subtle hint to anti-Semitism here, which is like, sometimes there's something about the Jews that just ultra-Orthodox Jews in upstate New York's and places like that, like in Muncie. Like the Gentiles there, they're just sometimes like, what is this thing that's taken over our town?
Right.
I don't understand this thing. Why do they want a weird wire around? Why do they look so weird? Like what happened to our kind of normative
America.
town? Right. And I'm not saying this in, God forbid, in any way to justify anything. Please do not misunderstand. I'm only saying that this pasuk hints to this kind of reaction, which is like there's something about the conglomeration of Jews in the diaspora which is weird,
which is off-putting.
And you could see it even if you're flying like United and the like ultra-Orthodox folks like get together in the middle of the aisles to like pray or something. And you could see that like sometimes like they like the what do you call it, the staff of the airplane, the stewardesses,
they look uncomfortable.
They look uncomfortable about it. I'm just saying this is a reality that happens out there. That sometimes Jewish people do not make everybody feel super comfortable. That's all.
Right.
And you could see that in these words. In any case, they embittered their lives with this backbreaking work, and then there's a part that I think it's very important to you, Malkah, which is the famous part of the midwives.
Right.
The midwives. Now,
these two spunky ladies
who are probably like midwives in chief. They are like the head midwives. It's not that there's
right. Otherwise, I guess they'd be pretty busy.
Right. So they're the caretakers. Now, Rabbi Yitzchak Shalom says, notwithstanding the Chazal approach, the sages approach, this is probably Gentile midwives who kind of work for the government, and they themselves don't want to take part in the mass killings.
I never heard that before.
Yeah, he says, listen, it doesn't make sense that they're that they're part of the Jewish thing, because why would you ask them to kind of do infanticide and they would go along with it?
Have you ever heard of a circumstance in Jewish history in which Jewish people have been seemingly hired or placed upon other Jews in order to
not for murder them? Not for murder, for maybe for capoing, but not for direct murder.
Yeah, but maybe politically it could be that he could have said, look, you have to get rid of these boys. Everyone else is going to stay safe if you just do what you're told.
Mm. Okay, it's hard for me to see it that way, but I understand where you're coming from. In any case, if it's a boy, kill the boy in kind of utero, in birth. Like, do this as a secret.
And incidentally, they didn't, right? It's not like they were like went along with it. He like called these women in. He's like, this is what you're going to do. And they're like, okay. And then they didn't do it.
Doesn't it make a little bit more sense to you that like these are two like Egyptian ladies and they're like asking him to co-opt them into a conspiracy to kill these babies, while they're just giving birth, and they're just like, no.
The truth is that I don't know how the culture was back then, but it seems to me unlikely that there would be in a twofold kind of reasons why I don't I would be disinclined to believe that they are Gentiles. One is because culturally, it's so often the case that people want to give birth with their own people. That it's like more of a family. Especially, it seems to me back in those times that it would be more of like a within the family kind of experience rather than like a hiring some person from like way outside. Secondly, if the Egyptians are so disgusted with the Jews, like birthing is a very, very intimate experience, right? And I'm not even talking about emotionally, which is like it's a whole other layer. But like on the physical level, it's like a very personal thing. So that they would like bring in these Egyptians, or that Egyptians would want to work with Jews and be going into like the slave quarters to help them birth just seems to me unlikely.
Okay, good point. And definitely here the Baal HaTurim that I'm looking at sees the Meyaldot B'Gematria Yocheved Bat Levi, sees them as Miriam and Yocheved, and not anybody else. So, okay, very interesting question. And these, but whatever their identity is, they certainly did not go along with
the plan,
with the effort to kill the Jewish children. And by the way, today in Israel, a famous fertility rabbinic association is called Mechon Pua, right, which is Shifra and Pua. These are the two midwives here. And I think this is the Torah portion of midwives. I think all the midwives.
I could see this one day being like a.
Can't you see that?
Like a whole thing with like neonatal units and like
this is
it's like a week of like go tour this hospital in their birth wing and decide where you're going to have your babies and
how about
birthing classes.
How about if there was a presidential prize for midwife of the year
That's
for
nice.
the hospitals and stuff like that,
That's
or every hospital would get like, because midwives are very important, and they're not like doctors. They're bringing Jewish people or people in general into the world, and it's something very beautiful. And this is their Torah portion,
right?
So they should get a trip to a lot, and something like that. But I'm just saying like. Like this is the and you, Malkah, you also have done a lot of doulaying,
right?
Which is also within the field, and there's the OB-GYNs, and I just think like this is the week to really
and certainly in Israel of all places, we're the kind of country that would think that was very cute.
Yeah, so I'm saying this is the Torah portion of the birthers.
Nice,
the birthers. Okay,
not the birthers in the American. Not that kind of birther.
No. Oh, not that kind of thing. Anyway, so fine. So we're in this process. So Pharaoh then says, okay, you know what? If you're not going to do this kind of subtle, tricky conspiracy to kill the children in utero,
or not in utero,
right? Or like in birth.
Right.
There's probably a word for that in Latin. Then instead, whatever boy is born, just throw him into the Sea of Reeds, the Nile.
The Nile. Is that called the Sea of Reeds? No.
The Reeds.
Nile is the Sea of Reeds?
No. Well, we'll see in a second that there's the reeds that Moshe was put into.
There are reeds. There are reeds in the story.
There are no reeds in the Red Sea. The Red Sea is a salt water. There are no reeds.
There could be reeds around the edge of a salt water.
Yeah.
No?
I don't know. Anyway, that's okay. So then, interesting. I just want you to know there's a medrash that it wasn't that they were sending all the boys every day that were born. Rather, there was one day where his astrologers were like,
"Oh, it's today.
The Redeemer is going to be born." So it's like, okay, chuck all their boys into the sea in one day. Yeah, there's that kind of medrash. In any case, in the meantime, while there's this like decree against the Jews. And babies are being thrown into the croc-filled Nile.
Ugh.
It's not pretty. There's hope. There's a hope. It's like
there's one mom out there.
That's right. There's a mom, and there's a hope. They got no names. It's all in secret, and the Torah is like keeping their names out of it. It says a man from the Levi tribe took a daughter of the Levi tribe, and she was pregnant, and she gave birth. And she saw Vatere oto kitov. She saw the boy, and he was good.
Yeah, that's like one of the weirder things.
What's weird about that?
Well, because a lot of the women think
A lot?
Most of the women that I know think to
99.9%.
themselves, "Oh, this is a good child."
Of course. That's why my explanation is the word tov here means it's the kind of tov from the story of Genesis.
Oh, like he's part of creation.
Yeah, he's part of. That's right. He's tov. Vayalokim ki tov. Like he said that it was good. She said it was good. He's like, this guy's going to complete the creation. He's that kind of kitov. He's the kind of kitov. Like there's a light. Oh, look, there's animals. And there's a Moses. Like there's a Jewish people, and he's going to bring the Jewish people out, and that's going to bring completion to the world. So I agree with you. Anyway, she hides him for 3 months. Okay, she hides him for 3 months. And what was that an allusion to, friends?
After 3 weeks.
That's right. Don't say anymore,
Okay,
Malkah.
that's it. Hashtag 3 weeks.
That's it. That's right. So after 3 months, after 3 months, she could not hide him no longer, and she took a little raft, a little basket, and she smeared it with clay and pitch, and she put the child in the reeds, at the reeds of the bank of the river. And then his sister stations herself at a distance, and she sees to see what happens. A great scene they have in Prince of Egypt, where like this little...
Where he's thrashing around amongst the hippopotami.
Right, exactly. And by the way, hippopotamus are some of the...
Very angry animal.
Just an angry animal.
Sad for them.
That's right. And they stomp around underneath the river. Have you ever seen? They don't swim. They just actually walk on the bottom of the river.
Yeah, I didn't think they were very swimmy.
No, they're not swimming, but they can't. But they go underwater. They're just a weird animal. They're angry about that. So, anyway, goes down the daughter of Pharaoh, and she goes to wash, her and her maidens, and she sees inside the reeds is this basket, and it says she sent her hand, and one way of understanding is she sent her maidservant to get to fetch this basket, but another one says that she sent her arm, and her arm like stretched out.
Got a Gumby arm.
She got a plastic man arm, and she went do, and she reached out and brought it in, which is there to tell you that there's something miraculous happening here. And she opened it up, and she opened it up, and she saw that there was a child, and it was a crying baby. So here's one of the most incredible explanations ever from one of your favorite authors, Rabbi Yisrael Meir Lau.
Ooh.
And he says, why does it say that she opened up the basket and she saw a crying boy? And then she said, it must be one of the Hebrews. What is the meaning of that? Why didn't she hear him crying?
I think I heard you say this to her last year.
So she says, she said, Rabbi Yisrael Meir Lau says, you see, when we were in the Holocaust, we children had to cry, but we were taught how to cry silently so nobody could hear us from where we were hiding. And when she saw a baby crying in silence, she had never seen anything like that. She's like, this must be one of the Jewish babies who has learned to cry in silence. Oish. Rabbi Yisrael Meir Lau, he nailed that one. That's right, amen. So Miriam, his sister says, should I call you somebody, a wet nurse, to nurse this child? And indeed, he gets back to his mom. Moses gets back to his mom. And she says, wean him for me, and I'll give you your whatever you deserve, but then bring him back to me. So basically, he gets weaned back with his mom.
Well, he gets weaned is when you're not nursing anymore.
Right, so exactly. He goes back to nursing to his mom until he's weaned, then he gets returned to the palace. And by the way, important here is
it's just like Hannah. You ever notice that?
Right. In what way? You said
she has a baby. She basically is like, if you'll give me a baby,
right,
then I will dedicate him to the service of Hashem. And she has a baby. She keeps him at home until he is weaned, and then she brings him to the Mishkan.
Yep.
And he becomes Shmuel Hanavi.
Right. Remember that Shmuel Hanavi is like Moses. Okay, and the rabbis say that there's a psalm that says, Moshe v'Aaron v'Chorana v'Shmuel b'koreh shemo. Right? So Shmuel the prophet is put equally
compared
to Moses and Aaron. And another person like that was Ezra.
Ezra also had weaning stories?
No, but Ezra was like comparable to Moses
to those
in
great figures.
Yeah. And then there was the Rambam. And maybe the Ramban and Rambam are like a split soul. But in any case,
so he has to go back to the palace.
He goes back to the palace. Oh, by the way, another little secret here is that the reason that he had to be nursed by his Hebrew mom is because he refused to drink the milk of the Egyptians. He was Chalav Yisrael all the way back then, okay?
Wow.
That's right.
Discerning young man.
That's right. And he knew the difference. And there are those. Rabbi Yudin explained that this date exactly is the 6th of Sivan, which is, of course, Shavuot.
Right.
And that's the day that he refused the Egyptian milk and wanted Chalav Yisrael, and that's why we eat milk products on that day.
Yay.
Okay, so the lad grew.
All the cheesecake.
That's right.
It comes from this parsha.
He grew up on cheesecake. You see what's in this week's parsha? We got midwives. We got cheesecake. Do you see a theme here? There's a theme.
Fun lady parsha.
There you go. That's right. There's great lady heroes here. There are great ladies. Remember,
You got Miriam. You got Yocheved.
You just had two.
It's like you got 5 awesome women in this parsha. You have Miriam.
Yes.
You have Yocheved.
Yes.
You have
Shifra
and Pua, and you have Batya.
And you forgot some more. There's more.
Who?
He marries the great Tzipora.
Tzipora.
There's like it's a powerful.
It's a lady parsha, big time.
And there's the sisters. There's a whole thing.
Wow.
He's a man like that.
He's
remember
a man.
Yeah, remember that? So you got.
We got to watch the 10 Commandments.
Yeah, it's a 10 Commandments weekend. Okay, so the lad grew.
You think they'll play it on Turner Classic Films? You think it'll be on the TNT channel?
I really.
Do they still have TNT?
We don't know. The lad grew, and he was brought to the daughter of Pharaoh, and he became to her like a son. She called him Moses, which, by the way, Moses in Egyptian means son. Like Ben. Like
oh,
son.
really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
But the Torah says, "V'tikashma Moshe, v'tomer ki min hamayim yishitiyu," for I pulled him out of the water. And basically, his character trait is going to be that he's going to be a puller-outer from the water. Like his great moment is that when he's going to pull the Jewish people through the
big water.
The big water. And at the end, he's going to have the one moment that he fails is when he's unable to pull them through the water.
Some water.
Okay. So then he doesn't live up to his name. But of course, I'm just being very Jewish by being critical of my great leaders. Anyway, it was in many days and that he grew, but somehow it says that he came to see his brothers and to see their pains. Right? V'yitzeh el echav. He went out to his brothers. Vayar b'sivlotam, and he went to see their burdens, observe their burdens. And what did he see? He saw an Ish Mitzri, he saw an Egyptian hitting an Ish Ivri, and a Hebrew man, Me'echa, from his brother. So somehow he did know, right? He did know. I'm just remembering the scenes from the 10 Commandments. You know how he finds out that he is indeed swaddle him in this, right?
Put this. Oh darn!
Don't worry about it.
Make this the swaddling cloth
for your firstborn. That's right. So what does he see, Malkah? First day of Jewish politics. What does he see? He sees Jewish oppression.
Yep.
And he sees that it's his brother being oppressed. And very famous line: "Vayifen ko v'cho, vayar ki ein ish." He turned this way and that way, and he saw that there was no person. Vayachet HaMitzri, he struck the Egyptian. Vayatminehu b'chol, and he hit him in the sand, burying him in the sand. There's 3 explanations that I know of for Vayifen ko v'chol, that he turned this way, and he saw that there was no person. 3 explanations. 1, the simple one. He saw that nobody was looking.
He was looking around.
2,
there were no security cameras at
that
time.
Right, there's no security cameras. 2, he looked around and saw there's nobody to take care of it. Vayar ki ein ish.
He's going to take it on himself.
He's got to do it himself. And the mystical explanation is he looked this way and this way throughout this Egyptian's life.
Ooh.
he saw that he was not coming from anything and he wasn't going anything. Like there was no value in this person.
Wow.
He had no intrinsic value. He's just hitting this Jew and zapola.
Wow.
Okay, he struck him down. Vayifen kovacho vayar kien ish. Okay, it's even a song. Okay, so
you'd wonder why he would do that and not, like, I don't know, get the guy arrested.
Because Malkah, he's hitting a Jew. It's fine. What's there to be arrested for? Oh, you're saying why he didn't fight for social justice?
Yeah. Like, why didn't he go through the bureaucratic channels?
Bureaucratic channels.
Why couldn't he be like, this is like, we should change the policy. We don't have to be so.
Oh, what you mean to say is I'm a prince and I could stop.
Yeah, use his. He's got the ring or something.
Right. So interestingly, in the Prince of Egypt, how do they get around this problem? He tries to stop him, and he by mistake causes the guy to fall.
Right.
But it does not. That is not the Hebrew text.
It seems
right
to be first degree. Murder.
Yeah. With malice intent. With
cold blood.
Yeah. So it could be hot blooded.
That's manslaughter.
It could be manslaughter, not necessarily.
He looked this way and that way.
Right. He thought about it.
Premeditation.
Yeah. Okay. So stage one of fighting for the Jewish nation achieved. Strikes down an Egyptian, right? That guy ain't walking like an Egyptian anymore, I'll tell you that much. Okay? Okay. Malkah, we're dating ourselves very badly. Okay.
Well, I think, yeah.
Okay, so now...
Everyone likes the Bengals, and if they don't, they're missing out.
I feel like 50% of my listeners are like, who else
no,
the
really?
Bengals?
Hashtag Bengals.
Don't worry about it. Don't do it.
Do it.
Okay, if you know the Bengals... If you know Walk Like an Egyptian, then you could definitely...
Walk like an Egyptian.
Yeah. I think that's the name of the show. Walk Like an Egyptian.
That's a good one.
Down and now. Okay. So that was stage one of being in Jewish politics. Stand up, resist, Stage two, deal with the Jews. A tougher sell. This is a lesson for all aspiring politicians out there. Day two. Went out to day two.
What do you mean Yom HaSheni? What was Yom HaRishon?
Yom HaRishon is when he went out yesterday and he knocked the Egyptian dead.
Instead of saying like
next
Macharat.
Day, right? On the next day, he comes out and there are two Jewish men, Hebrews, fighting with one another. So he says to the bad guy. Now he judged the bad guy, right?
Yeah.
So he says this great line to the bad guy. He says, "Vayomer Rasha." Lama takeh re'echa? Lama takeh re'echa? Sorry, I added a word. Lama takeh re'echa? Why would you strike your fellow man? Why would you strike your fellow?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what he asked him. And it's interesting because it says that he said to the evil one, to the one who's to the wicked one. Right. So he judged him very quickly, and he says, "Why would you strike him?"
No.
So the wicked one says, ostensibly the wicked one says, "Vayomer. Mi samcha, who put you?" This is
a prince of Egypt. This guy's got a lot of noive.
Yeah, he's got a lot of. But on the other hand, Malkah, this is like really proving that this wicked one was Jewish. Okay, because that is the most Jewish things to say.
Look at you! You're such a prince of Egypt. You fancy pants.
You're gonna judge me. You're gonna judge me. You come down here one day. You come down here in the mud pits, okay? And again, in the Prince of Egypt, they a little bit made that kind of like, why don't you feel our pain?
Right.
In any case, but actually, now that I say this as in a kind of just, I think to myself like, hey, I'm filled with frustrations down here. Okay, I'm ticked off. My life is really hard.
Interestingly,
and if I'm hitting my fellow, it's because I shouldn't be doing it, maybe, but maybe I'm just like really frustrated with my life.
Interestingly, this part makes you feel like everyone knows the story. It's not like in some interpretations where it's like everyone assumes that Moshe is really an Egyptian prince and like it becomes this shocking piece of news that Moshe is actually a Jewish guy. It seems to me from this little piece of the story that the Jews knew exactly who they're talking to. And Moshe, even himself, he knows that he's Jewish. Like, it's all kind of out in the open.
Right.
It could be that Moshe was this like token Jewish kid that was living in the palace as the adopted child, but the whole Jewish community knew. It's not like Esther, you know what I mean? Where like no one knows who she is and what her background is. It's like everybody knows who Moshe is and where he's from.
Maybe, or maybe he revealed himself at some point. But the point is that it became known.
Well, it just feels to me like if the Egyptians are these horrible oppressors, and everyone and the Jews are like very afraid of them, and they're murdering Jewish children and everything, that it might not behoove you to speak in such a like an arrogant and
no, the Torah already told us that he's going out to look at his brothers, so it's already kind of.
But the brothers know this,
right? Well,
the brothers know that they're brothers.
Their knowledge of this is clear from this next line, which he says, this wicked one says, "Who paid you into a judge and a ruler over us? Did you intend to kill me as you killed the last guy yesterday, the Egyptian?" Is that what you want to do? You want to kill me?
You wouldn't say that to your taskmaster,
right?
You know what I mean?
So, but Moshe says, "Vayar Moshe," and Moses feared. Vayomer acheno dadavar. Therefore, it is now. I know it's common knowledge, and Pharaoh heard that Moshe killed this taskmaster, and he asked to. He became a wanted man.
Bring him in.
Yeah, bring him in. Set out the dragnet, all points bulletin, all that, but Moses runs away from Pharaoh. And he goes away. He leaves Egypt and he goes to Midian. Okay, and where does he hang out in Midian?
By Yitro's house.
No, not yet. He goes to the well. He goes to the bear.
Yeah,
bear is a well. I've told you that really in the Bible where you want to meet people is at the bear. And it's a watering hole. Literally, is that a coincidence that a bear sounds like the word bar? Okay. There you go. You go there to hang out, but anyway, he gets to the land of Midian, and he sits on the well. And this the priest of Midian had 7 daughters. Okay, 7 daughters. All right, and they came to what's it called, to draw water and to fill up their troughs of water and to water their sheep, their father's sheep. And who came but other shepherds, male shepherds? So
everyone's there.
So this Kohen of the Midian priest has 7 daughters, which is like, okay, who's going to be the next generation's shepherds? Looks like the daughters are going to be shepherds, but there's these other shepherds, these male shepherds that are coming, and they kick them out away from the water. Now, I wouldn't even believe any of this story if it wasn't that I watched National Geographic, and literally they were talking about women farmers and women herders who get pushed away from water sources. I literally saw this myself, mamash.
What do you mean?
I was watching like National Geographic.
What did they say?
They were like, then there's these women and they have a hard time because sometimes these other tribes or other men like mishtaltim, what's it called?
Oh man, they like kind of take control
of a spring, of water holes, and then these families like end up either having to migrate or die.
Oh. Yeah,
but I was thankful that
you think there's enough water for everybody.
It's Africa in the desert and stuff. It's not, okay? It's not. No, there's not water. It's not America, Malkah.
I don't know. It's water.
No.
It's a well.
Yeah, it's a well. It's a well, and you want to protect that. And then the well means life, and you want to be in control of that. In any case...
Well, just a couple hundred years ago, the Philistines were stopping up the wells.
Right.
Because everyone apparently had enough water.
Not here in Midian. In any case, Moses, out of nowhere, shows up, and he saves them. It's an interesting word here. V'yoshian. He what's the word?
Like redeems them.
Redeems them. Right. He really saves them.
Heroic.
V'yash ketzonam. And he
waters everybody.
Right. Exactly. He waters. He draws the water for the flock. And here I think is one of the most impressive. Within just a few words, it says, "Listen, count the words with me, Malkah. 3 words: Vayakam Moshe v'Yoshian. Moses stood up and he saved them. In 3 words. Now, if I'm Moses and I'm running away from Egypt, I'm going to lay low. Okay? And when I see these men harassing these women, I think to myself, okay, let me be friends with the power brokers here. Okay? And let me not get into their kishkas and certainly not get on the wrong side. And I need like a little cover here. Like Moses, don't like show it all off.
Right. He's also one against many, probably.
Right. Like don't just lay low, bro. Can I give you a piece of advice? It didn't go well for you last time. Just like, no. Last time I stood up for the Jews, but now I'm going to stand up for these women who I don't know. By the way, I don't know the backstory either. And that's the character of Moses, which is like stand up for justice for his brothers, yes, and for these women who are not his brothers, yes. I'm going to stand up for truth. I'm going to stand up courageously for truth. That is the mark of who is Moses. And just remember that for the rest of the time. Just remember that for the rest of the time, that he's a particularist and a universalist, and courage to stand up for justice. He's be willing to stand up to God if he needs to get justice. And that's what he does later on. Those are also his moments of greatness. He'll stand up to God himself and say, no, that's not right. And that harkens back to Avraham Avinu. In any case, the priest of Midian says to the daughters, "Why'd you come back so fast?" They said, "This guy protected us." He says, "Where is him? Bring him over. Let him eat bread." And like there's a little
nice to this guy.
Yeah, there's a little subtle thing like I got 7 daughters. It's like
we could use a nice guy.
Yeah, a nice man. Yeah, let's. So bring him back. Well, he gets brought back, and very quickly the Torah tells us that Moses agreed to sit with a man, and Tzipporah was given to him for a wife, and they have a child whose name is Gershom, which means I've been a stranger in a foreign land.
Not a very romantic name.
No, not a very romantic name, and a name that speaks of. But on the other hand, it reminds us of Abraham, of the promise to Abraham that your seed is going to be a sojourner, a stranger in a foreign land. Right. And so it reminds us that this is the beginnings of the prophecy being fulfilled. And again, there are many days. This time there are many days, and that king of Egypt died, and the Jews groaned because of the work, and they cried out. So there's a very interesting explanation, Malkah, of why they groaned.
Okay.
Because when that king died, they had a day off.
Oh.
When they had a day off, they were like, "Oh,
that feels good."
Either they said that feels good, or I don't want to go back to work, or they kind of had a chance to look back at their situation, and they groaned that day. Or the other explanation is they groaned because they didn't. They got a new king, and they thought things would change. And he's the same or worse, okay?
Right.
So, and I heard that from Rabbi Ed Shalom on the OU Shnai Mikra podcast. In any case, guess what? God hears their cries. Vayishma Elokim et nakatam. He heard their cries, and God remembered his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So we're hearkening back to the book of Bereshit, which is like, wait, I have a covenant. I have a relationship with these people. I can't forget that. So now Moses is with the flock, and he takes them to the mountain of God. Was this mountain of God known as the mountain of God beforehand, like in the Ten Commandments movie? Like, he's awake today. What is the line there? But
I can't remember that.
But like there's a mountain that's like a godly mountain. Everybody knows about it, or it's just foreshadowing that's what's going to be later on down the line. In any case. He gets to the mountain, which is also called Chorev. Chorev also means from the word Charava, which means dry. Okay, today many identify the Mount Sinai as Jabal Musa in the Sinai, in the heart of the Sinai desert. Other people say it's different places. In any case, if you've ever been there, it's like a stark rocky mountain in the middle of the desert. A very beautiful place indeed, and beautiful sunrises. Wow. And an angel of God comes to Moses, in the heart of a burning bush. And he sees, and he fears, and he sees that, and he sees, and he saw, and behold, the bush was burning in the fire, but the bush was not consumed. Right?
Yeah.
Why
would Hashem do this?
Okay. Why would he show himself in a burning bush, right? It's
weird.
Well, let me give you some thoughts. First thing is, the burning bush is maybe a prelude to a menorah. It's like a menorah bush, okay? It shows that eternal light. Bush. Yeah, it's a menorah bush. And actually studies have been done, including by my parents, on some of these plants. And indeed, there are plants in around the Sinai area that look like menorahs.
Really?
Yes, they look like menorahs, and they light up. If you light them, they have like an oil that lights for a long time. Not that I'm saying that's what happened.
Out of here!
There are plants there's a hyssop plant that looks like a menorah. But in any case, my point to you is that think that maybe his first vision is the vision of this, like the vision that also Zechariah is going to see, of this like amazing eternal menorah flame.
Wow.
That's my thought here, is that he actually sees the menorah of the temple.
That's cool.
Okay?
I never heard that.
But the Netivot Shalom says that what he saw was a mystery that he'd been contemplating. He was contemplating, Moses, how could it be that the Jewish people are suffering so much and all they have to do is kind of assimilate in? How is it that they stay unassimilated? How is it that they don't get burnt up by the fire of Egypt, by the cauldron of Egypt? Okay. And he was like, that is weird, and it kept bothering him. And then when he saw this thing, he's like, yes, that's the question that I've been... Wow. And the answer is, it's me, God. You know what I mean? I have a unique role for these people, and they will not be swallowed up. Wow. They need to come out. So these are two thoughts for you.
Wow, cool.
About the burning bush, right?
Oh, really good.
Neat. Okay. Neato. So then...
Hashtag menorah bush.
Okay, Malkah. So then guess what? Out of the menorah bush comes the first words that God says to Moses, and this is the beginning of his prophecy. And it's important to realize that there's an initiation of prophecy for Moses, and the first words are Moshe, Moshe. And Moshe says,
Hineni.
Hineni.
Classic.
Dang.
Classic Jewish response.
And that throws us right back to the last kind of Jacob's last moments in the land of Israel. It's like Yaakov. It's like, Hineni, here I am. I'm ready to serve. And it's like, Moshe, Moshe, you're in line. You're in the line of the great ones. Connects us back to the forefathers. And he says, do not come closer to here. Remove your shoes from your feet, for the place upon which you stand is holy ground. And he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to gaze towards God. So we have here like full revelation. But Moses is he's no pushover, and God is going to tell him, listen, I've seen the problems of my children in Egypt, and I'm now coming down to save him. But guess what? I need you. I'm going to save him, take him out of Egypt, and bring him out of that land to the good land. Malkah, the good land, okay? Yes. A land good and wide, to a land flowing with milk and honey. That's also the first time that term is used. To the place of but then he says, this is a great line, to the place of the Canaanite, the Hittite, the Amorite, the Perizzite, the Hivite, and the Jebusite. As in, it's going to be great, but there's going to be some action there too. That's the little prelude here. In any case, he says, now I want you to go to Pharaoh and take out my people from Egypt. Whoa. Wait a minute.
A lot of information.
Yeah, it's cool to be your prophet, but you actually want me to do something? So Moshe says, who am I to go to Pharaoh and to take out the Jewish people from the land of Israel? I mean, what do you mean? You're the prince of Egypt. But he's like, I'm already out of the game. I'm out of the Jew saving game.
I got a son.
I'm retired. I make sangria. I tend to the cactuses. I'm spiritual and stuff, and I don't go down there anymore. And I remember the last time what I had in Egypt, it was really tough with the Jews, right? So God says, you're not going alone. I'm going to be sending signals. I'm going to be sending signs with you. And you have to say to them, the God of my forefathers. Moses asked, like, what signal am I going to get? Like, why would they believe me? Maybe I'm some kind of false prophet. He says, tell them the God of your forefathers sent you. No, excuse me. And I'll say, the God of my forefathers sent me. What should I say to them? What is your name? What is God's name, Malkah?
I will be what I will be.
That's right. So some people say that's not a name. He says, I don't have a name. I'm nameless. I'm beyond name. I'm beyond really a name for you to limit me in. I'll be that which I will be. But tell them I will be sent me. Like, I will, or another way to say it is like, look, I'm not definable by you. But if you need to define them, me to them, say to them, that which I will be has come to you. It's like, I think what he's saying is, you could come out of the Holocaust and be like, why would God do that? And God says,
I told you.
I will be that I will be. Like, you're not going to get me. You're not going to understand me, and I'm not bound to your systems of logic. But I'm telling you what, it's time for you to come out. Do you ever wonder sometimes why we're the generation that's coming to the land of Israel? Do we deserve to be that generation? I don't know.
I guess Hashem said yes.
Right. It's good to say that on that end, but then there's, horrible tragedies and people are like, why?
Right.
And there's an element that God says, like, you could fight all you want, but I will be which I will be. And I am revealing myself to you on some level, which is that I will be. You won't know what that means totally, but you will know that that's me. The God that you can't totally understand, but you know that I'm the actor.
Right.
I think there's some kind of, you know what? I was really angry today all day about something.
Yeah.
And had I had this thought in my head, it would have pleased me. It would have mollified me.
Which thought?
I will be.
Right.
And listeners to the show already know, it's your world, boss. Right?
Right.
It's your world. In any case, Malkah, again, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is mentioned. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Listen to this, Malkah. I'll read it to you in Hebrew. Ko tomar bnei Israel. This is what you should tell the children of Israel. Hashem, Elokei avotechem. Hashem, the God of your forefathers. Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov. The God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Shalchani lechem. So finally, he gives them signs. He gives them 3 signs, Malkah, and you know the famous sign, which is the snakes, right? Your staff is going to turn into a snake. Throw down your staff, and it's going to become a snake. That's pretty scary.
Yeah.
You think so?
A big snake?
Yeah, a big scary snake, like a boa constrictor, okay,
yeah.
Or like a big python. All right, that's scary. But what's interesting is that God says to him, "I want you to grab it by the tail."
Moshe's like, no.
Go ahead, Malkah. Is that the way to catch a snake? You're from Texas. How do you catch a snake?
You catch it with a tool. That's thing number one.
Yeah,
you do not just go catching it.
But if you had to catch it with your
definitely
hand,
not by the tail.
What would you do? How
Close
would you do?
to the head.
Right? Why?
So that I can't bite you. I can't. If you get it by the tail, that's the end.
Yeah, you catch a tiger by the tail, but not.
And if you holler, let him go.
Right.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Right. So you catch
if you catch him by the tail. If he hollers, make him pay 50 shekels every day.
Okay. Do you catch a snake on the tail? No. God says to him, catch this snake by the tail. Why would he say that? Because I think that one of the signals here is that you will control this thing. You will control this snake. Not only do I want you to throw down the staff and make it into a snake, I want you to know that the snake is yours because the snake represents Egypt. And you have the power over Egypt. You could make Egypt into a staff in your hand.
Right. We've also seen the snake once before. The snake hasn't been around for a long time. The snake came back after a very long time. And the last time we really saw the snake was in the garden.
That's right.
And in the garden, the snake got us by the tail. Big time.
That's right.
And this time we're getting it by the tail. And we're finally going to conquer that snake. The snake's going to finally work for us.
Right. Very good. I like that. I like that very much. And really getting into the land of Israel is going back to the Garden of Eden. So you'll get control of the snake. I like that very much what you're saying. The second sign. So the second sign is the hand that goes into the cloak and comes out white white and leprous. How does that feel, Malkah?
Bad.
You do not want your hand to turn leprous, right? And it's like, and so the meaning is like, what's the simple meaning is like, I'm the God of punishment. I'm the God who can punish. I can punish Egypt. But I think it's actually the second part, which is he puts his hand in and he brings it out and it's healed again. Which he says.
Yeah, he basically had to make it sick in order to make it healthy.
I could bring you out. I could bring you out of Egypt to make you healthy again. I can bring you out of slavery. I can bring you out of all the Egyptian diseases and low places. I can make you whole again. You'll control Egypt. You'll come out. You'll be whole again. And then I talked about this last year. There's the third sign. What's the third sign? Take water and spill it onto the ground, it'll turn into, take water from the Nile, spill it on the ground, it'll turn into blood. What could this mean, Malkah?
Wait, did he do that right there?
Yeah. He says to him, V'lakachta mimei hayeo, take from the waters of the Nile, v'shafachta hayabasha, put it, spill it on the dry land. V'hayu hamayim asher tikach min hayor v'hayu ledam bayebeshet. And the water that you took out of the Nile will be like blood on the dry land. On the dry land. What do you think that could mean? Why turn the Nile into blood?
Well, the Nile was the most important like life source of the Egyptians. It was the thing that watered everything. Also,
there's a bit of a
it's like the thing. It's the heart of the whole thing.
Remember, there's a fertility thing going on here. Remember, there were 6 babies that were born, and then there was the whole midwife story, and then there's throwing the babies into the Nile. Now, the Nile is the fertility of Egypt, and the blood represents like menstruation, the opposite of fertility. So it's like this thing that is like the height of your fertility instead of being fertile is like blood. Okay.
Yikes.
Okay. Right. That's like one level. Here's another level. So we'll overcome Egypt. That's holding onto the snake and controlling it. And we're going to come out of Egypt and we're going to be healthy again.
Right.
But who's going to remember the Holocaust that happened? Like, okay, we're going to come out of the exile and we're going to come back to the land of Israel. But what about all the bad stuff that happened? Is there going to be justice?
Oh, yes.
Is there going to be justice? Because you know the waters of the Nile are ostensibly clear and beautiful.
Right.
But what about the babies that were thrown in there? Is anybody ever going to remember those things, what really happened there? So God says, I will make it clear to the world. There will be justice. I will also bring the perpetrators. That's right. I will bring the perpetrators to justice. There is a true justice, God says, in this world. Like, even though I will be which I will be, and there are pains and there are things that are unspeakable that happen in this world, I do see everything. There will be final justice in this world. There will be final justice. So those are the signs that Moses is to go to Pharaoh with. But you know what? It doesn't work out so easy, because one of the things that we learn in battle is that you think that you get in there and you're trained and you're ready to go. You're ready to face off with the bad guy. You think like, I got this one. You got to know something. The bad guys turn up the heat on you. They turn the heat right back on you. Never forget that. Like, don't think that just because you're right and you're just and you're prepared, like, you got to know somebody's going to sweep the leg.
Sweep the leg.
They're going to sweep the leg.
Oh, Cobra Kai.
That's
Yishai.
right.
The snake metaphor comes back. Cobra Kai. Sweep the leg. Sweep the leg.
Sweep the leg. Right?
But Sensei.
That's right. That's right. They're going to sweep the. But you got to know that evil is got a strong energy. And at the end of this week's Torah portion, the Jewish people are going to turn to Moses and say, "Hey, since you got here, it only got worse."
Yeah. Thanks for nothing.
Thanks for nothing. And then Moses is going to turn to God and say,
"No.
Hey, what is this all about? It's only gotten worse since you got involved here." And then next week's Torah portion, God is going to reveal to him the big plan.
Right, the plan.
The big plan, all right? All right, folks, you are listening to the Yishai Fleisher Show with Malkah Fleisher.
Wow, thanks for having me on the Torah section.
Yeah, Malkah, it's an honor to have you in the Torah section.
It was an honor to be on the Torah section.
And I think it was because this is a strong women's Torah portion. I think it really is. I don't think people know that.
Well, now they do.
I don't think people see that, but it really is a beautiful women's Torah portion. And speaking of that, there's no connection. I'm going to make a totally unconnected connection, but I feel it, which is that we are right now. I'm ordering new flags for the Jewish community of Hebron.
Wow!
For the big pole that we have on the top. We are out of those flags. I have to order brand new ones. That means that I have a few of the flags that flew over Hebron. They are huge. I'm talking about a 4x6 yards. Okay, meters. And so there's a few left for you if you want. So get in touch with me. And for small donations to the Yishai Fleisher projects, we'll love to give you one of these amazing flags. We have a few from Jerusalem as well. They're really beautiful. I'm also excited to let you know that I'm coming out to CPAC this year. to hold a Judea and Samaria reception.
Wow.
So if anybody wants to come out to CPAC this year, it's right before APAC. That's going to be a lot of fun. So please join me at CPAC and write to me if you have any other questions about that. Yishai at thelandofisrael.com or Yishai at YishaiFleisher.com. I also want to say that I have a slot open still for coming out to Yom Ha'atzmaut. I'm going to be right before Yom Ha'atzmaut. I'm going to be in Long Island, and I am interested if there's a great gig, not a medium gig, a great gig, to come out to wherever you are to do Yom Ha'atzmaut. I'm willing to do that. Israel Independence Day. So that's there's availability. So please write to me, Yishai at thelandofisrael.com. I also want to thank Moshe Herman, Ben Bresky, and Tabitha for getting the show out. I want to thank the good people of Hebron for being so awesome and actually helping you tour in Hebron by going every Wednesday with our English language tour. So please go to hebronfund.org. Come to Hebron by going to hebronfund.org and signing up for a great tour. And I want to thank you so much for everything, Malkah. Anyway, folks, we'd love to hear from you. So write me an email or write anything to Malkah as well. It will be an honest pleasure to hear from you. There's many great emails that come in, and I want you to know every single email makes such a big difference. So please keep it up. God bless you wherever you are, and have a great meeting with Moses.
Nice.
Have a great walking like an Egyptian to meet the Moses. Meet Moses. Really, that's what this Torah portion is about, which means meet Revelation, which means also meet Exodus, meet redemption, meet the Redeemer. Okay?
Yes.
Meet the Redeemer. That's kind of cool. That's really cool. And try to take the Bible this week, open it up, and try to see if you can just get a glimpse into who this great character is, because the Torah does us such a great favor of teaching us his early life. Okay, he really gets us into the setup, into the Jedi. Who's this Jedi?
From a little boy.
That's
from
right.
A young man.
All right. God bless you folks wherever you are. Thanks again, Malkah. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom, everybody. God bless. And stay in touch. And stay tuned. Stay connected. God is broadcasting 24/7. All you have to do is tune in. Shalom.
He who reigns within himself, says John Milton, and rules passions, desires, and fears, is more than a king. I'd like to believe I have quite a grip on myself, though I can't claim any royal descent. I'm Rav Mike Feuer, and this is The Jewish Story.
Join Rav Mike Feuer for the best Jewish history podcast.